Hey, welcome. What is it that's on your to-do list for the last 3 years? What's on your to-do list for the last 6 years? What have you been meaning to do, but you never got around to it? And my question is, why is that? I mean, why haven't you got around to it? What's really stopping you? What's what's blocking you from doing what it is you wanted to? So, reason why I talk about these subjects is because I remember making a video in 2017 and it was really emotional. I was like, you know what to do, you know how to do it, but yet you're still not doing it. So that shit used to be something in my mind all the time, and I would think to myself, what's happening? Like I'm adamant, I know exactly what I need to do, but for some reason I'm still not doing it. It's as if you feel like you're in a trance. Like you see what will give you the life you want, and it's in reach, you can touch it, you can do it, but you catch yourself going back in a loop and not doing it. And what that does is it takes a toll on your self-confidence. It takes a toll on how you feel about yourself. It takes a toll on how you feel about life. It takes a toll on what you think you can stick to and what you think you can't. And then again, that goes around and it causes your self-confidence, which influences how disciplined you are the next 3 months, the next 6 months, the next 12 months. And it's an ongoing cycle of losing confidence, losing trust in yourself, and then never actually doing what will cause you to trust yourself. So I'm going to be talking about the power of discipline, the power of self-discipline, the power of discipline in general. We're going to break the word discipline down. When we talk about discipline in the form of parents, it's like you're gonna get disciplined. And you think, hey, I'm gonna get a beating. So we have been doing the same thing to ourselves. So I'm here to remind you, discipline is not a mental beating, okay? And you're like, what does that mean? Well, discipline is not that you hit up yourself in the head for not doing something or for doing something. Discipline is being sold into a way of living. Now, I love Jesus because of how he talks and the message he shares and the salvation that he brings. And one of the things about Jesus is he had disciples, and that means they followed him, they followed what he had to say, and also they followed the word of God. So discipline is about following a way of living, right? So I'm not saying it's religious or anything. I'm just using that as an example. Discipline is being a disciple to a way of living, right? So you discipline yourself to do what's best for you. It's not like your parental discipline where your parents hit you in the head for doing something wrong, but it's almost like you wake up and you want to do the right thing. Okay, so that's why I made that analogy between a disciple and a discipline. Okay, because when you're a disciple, you're following the ways of Christ. When you're disciplined, you're following the best way of living. And whatever it is that you're doing, you can be disciplined in your finances, and the best way to handle your finances, you're really following that. I'm not saying you're making that your form of salvation, as if, hey, if I get money and I'm disciplined and making money, I'm gonna be all happy. So discipline is not one-sided, it's multi-faced. So to be disciplined in one area and not in the other is to leave room for you to be less in accordance to your own values. Because you might say, hey, I'm just gonna let go of this area and it won't affect this other area. Well, let me break it down for you. Everything affects everything else. So whatever area you're not disciplined in is gonna affect everything else. So now, as I'm thinking to myself, one of the major things about what I've been doing so far is I haven't been telling you anything, I have been applying. So when I'm finished with this video, I have a call I have to make, right? Because what it is there's someone that I need to make amends with. It's something I need to deliver to someone. And I'm not disciplined in that area. So if I wake up and I think about that, that's gonna rob me of some future things. So you might say, how I do one thing, that's just with this person. No, it's gonna cascade to other people. So what is it that today that you can be disciplined to take care of? What is a call that you want to be disciplined to make? Lately, I've been talking about the morning routine. I've been talking about how to structure your morning and how to be disciplined and waking up early and setting a nighttime routine and figuring out how you can wind down before you go to sleep. So that's why I'm talking about the power of self-discipline. So let's do a quick review. Discipline is not hitting yourself in the head for not doing something or for doing. Discipline is following a way that's going to yield the best results, being a disciple to what's best for you, right? And then I said next, although that is, you can't just be disciplined in one area and then you ignore the other, because it's going to affect one discipline affects everything else. So you might say, well, I only mess up in this area. I just don't seem to get my nutrition down. Well, if you fail to get your nutrition down, now your energy level is off. Now you can't focus. And then now you're no longer disciplined in your works. So now your finances are going. So now you're worrying so much. So now you're less disciplined and giving attention to your daughter because you're always thinking about money. You see? So now one discipline, not eating healthy, lack of energy, lack of focus, more stress, less attention to those I love. So you're not disciplined in one area, affects everything else. There's something scientists called a Keystone Habit. I've been sharing Keystone Habits with y'all all week. Like I say, the gems are free and you see them and you scroll past. So what are Keystone Habits? It's a discipline that brings about discipline in multiple areas of your life all at once. A major action, if you're disciplined in, that will transform your life is what you've always heard: exercising, morning routine, a meditation practice, and then a journaling, right? I'd say workout and morning routine. When you put the routine, if you put the workout in the morning routine, you put the meditation, and you put the journaling and the gratitude practice, and you put everything that's also a keystone habit into one, your whole life starts to become disciplined now. You see how that cascade effect? So scientists have figured out there are certain habits that if you change, it'll have a cascading effect towards all your life. So some of you may think that, hey, I can go without having my plant-based diet set up. Now, you're like, I can go without it. No, you can go without it, but you won't grow without it. You can go without eating healthy, but you won't grow without it. You can go without treating your body right, but you won't grow without it. You can go the way that you're currently going, but you won't grow without the discipline in the area you've been ignoring. Okay, so think about it. What have I been ignoring? What have I got in an ignorance, ignoring a trance of ignorance? What don't I know, and what do I know that I don't act upon? So one is, we don't act because we don't know any better. Second is, we know better, but we simply don't do better. Why? Both of which is the lack of conscientiousness. And what that means, to simplify it, is simply we're not conscious enough, we're too habitual. I really want you to think about this. Do you think about what you're doing? Like, are you consciously seeing how you're living? Or are you being pulled by the thread by your habits like a puppet, or are you the one pulling the strings in your life to create the life that you deserve? So it's two different mentalities. I found myself now, I wake up very conscious, with a lot of consciousness, being very conscious of what's happening. That's another component of not necessarily self-control, but self-freedom. So you're not controlling yourself, you're freeing yourself from your habitual patterns that doesn't give you the life that you want. So how do you do that? Well, first, you must ask yourself, what am I doing? What am I doing right now? And why am I doing it? Right? You might like, what am I doing right now? And why am I doing it? You're like, how can that possibly affect my life? Well, what is it to be conscious? To be aware of what's going on and to understand why. And then that's just a level if you've never really experienced it. So I'm going to say conscious is to know what I'm doing and to know why. And then I can also say that it's to not even care about the why, not even like, oh, why am I doing this? As in, oh, why am I doing this? And you got to figure out why you're doing it. But when you reverse it and be like, oh, snap, this is why I want to do this. So there are levels. If you're unconscious, we got to get you out of unconscious. So the question you ask is, what am I doing and why am I doing it? But the true consciousness is, what do I want to do today? So there are levels to everything. So I can talk to you at the level of, what do I want to do today? And then you can also say, what am I doing and why am I doing it? Why would you want to say that? Well, you want to notice your lack of being conscious. What do you mean? Well, the more you notice it, the more you can start to change it. What does it mean? When you find yourself in a trance and you're like, have you ever found yourself staring at a commercial? You have no idea why you're staring at it. You're not getting anything from it. You're literally staring out of space. And then you're like, I just zoned out watching this commercial. If you ask yourself, wait, why am I watching this commercial? Your conscious just changed from the loop to, oh, get back to the present. When you do that over time, then you can start to ask yourself is, hey, what energy do I want to put into my subconscious mind today? So you're like, instead of asking why, you'll ask, how can I, okay? How can I start eating healthier? How can I start juicing? How can I start to do this? How can I? So questions change as you evolve. Perceptions change as you evolve. So at some point, it's different, there's steps, it's different components, okay? So it's hard to say, hey, because I don't know what level you're in. Everybody's in a different level, okay? So ask yourself, what am I doing and why am I doing it? And then after you've done that for a while, soon say, what is it that I really want to do and how can I do it? And then the next thing is when you put your discipline into action is when you actually do it. So now that's the difficult part. Yeah, I want to know, okay, I get the first part, but how do I actually do it? Well, here's the thing. A monkey mind can't focus. And monkey mind is just an Indian term that says your mind is running. Where's the banana? You're climbing from tree to tree and you're being pulled by the strings. So that's a monkey mind. So reason why it's like that is because the brain is either inflamed, imbalanced, you're stressed out, too much thoughts running, you're living in the past, you're anxious, and you got muscle tension. So a lot of discipline doesn't have to do with per se getting yourself to do something, but literally releasing the tension so you can free yourself from all the things holding you back from actually doing it. So when you're actually sitting, you can breathe, you can focus with an intention on what you're doing, and then you can be able to do that for that time that you scheduled out to do so. Because your attention is there, you're no longer feeling so much tension in your body, but now your attention can be focused. So finding a peace practice is a sure way of improving your self-discipline, finding a way to release tension in your body, finding a way to release inflammation in your mind, figuring a way to grow so that anxiety is not holding your neck and tightening you up so that you can free yourself from the leech or the bondage of feeling like you're not good enough, things will never change for you, or things will always be like this. That freedom is possible. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't. If everything I was saying to you was ineffective in my own life, I probably wouldn't have I wouldn't be here today talking about it. I would have just gotten a job and quit a long time ago. But I know for sure that it's changed my life. It's given me the grit, the discipline, and the passion to do what I do every day. And I know that if you take some of these things and you think about it, or at least just let it affect your perception and see, hey, let me just see this point of view, it can truly impact and change your life. So let's do a review. I'm going to tell you what self-discipline is not, so you can really do what self-discipline is. Self-discipline is not hitting yourself by the head for not doing something. Self-discipline is not shame. Self-discipline is not shame. Self-discipline is not shame. Self-discipline is not guilt. Self-discipline is not procrastination. It's not shame, it's not guilt, and it's not procrastination. By shaming yourself, you keep yourself in a low energy. Shame does not empower anybody. I mean, taking responsibility, improve your responsibility, but shame hinders you. It takes you out of courage. Courage is the power emotion. Courage is the power emotion, and that's what gets you out of shame, guilt, into action. So that's why I encourage you. So literally, I think about, how do I share a piece of my essence with you when I wake up to encourage you to come from guilt, shame, to your true power. And that is literally understanding that you are not stuck to how you acted before, right? You are not stuck to your lack of discipline. You'll be like, hey, I never keep my word to myself. Nobody knows about this but you. But because I've been in all of these stages, I've worn all of these shoes, I know if the shoes stink. And I found out that the shoe doesn't stink because it keeps raining. The shoe stinks because it keeps raining and you keep wearing it. Take the shoes off, put it on the roof, and let it dry. So some of you have to buy new shoes. It's time to let go of the path you were walking in before. Stop walking in those shoes. Start to buy a new pair of shoes. Let them dry. Maybe let that stay there. Go get yourself some new shoes. Okay? And what I mean by that is we must begin to walk in a different path. Let's now say, what's the science behind this? Well, there is neuroplasticity, which means your brain doesn't stay the same because your brain is not simply a product of your DNA, but it's your product of your determined actions. So based on what you do every day, it's going to determine the structure of your brain. And not only will it determine the structure of your brain, but it will also structure your DNA. So your discipline today is literally going to affect the next generation. So I want to ask you, what do you want to leave for your grandchildren? What habitual patterns, what do you want to leave? What type of patterns in their brain you want them to have? And you might say, hey, how does that affect me in any way? Well, guess what? If you're more disciplined and you build pathways of sticking to a focus, your kids are going to be focused. And if you plan on having kids, don't you want focused kids? Epigenetics. So by doing this today, you're not only going to be affecting your bloodline, you're going to be affecting your kids. And you're going to be saving stress from their own life. By healing your traumas, you stop your chances of passing on that to your kids. And guess what? Not only will you affect your own immediate family, but you're literally going to impact a piece of the world, because somebody out there is going to be empowered rather than held back by their ancestral ties. So the way you live your life now doesn't only affect you, it affects your future generation. your DNA is at least 4,000 years old, which means it was passed down to you from generation to generation to generation to generation to generation. And based on the level of experiences that your parents had, internal experiences, external experiences, those are passed on down. Doesn't mean that you're stuck with them and you can't change them. That's just how I am. It just means to some extent that was the basis. So sometimes we're born with anger because our entire lives we was raised up around it. And the only way that your parents seemed to discipline you was with anger. So whenever you would do something wrong, they would be very angry at you, or they will shame and guilt trip you. So now you became an adult and you've adopted the same parental style of shaming yourself, guilt tripping yourself, and doing all these things that does not encourage you. And because your parents only passed down the trauma, or they just simply didn't know any better, and it's not our fault. Until we learn how to manage our emotions, we don't know how to express it besides anger. So we have to be compassionate towards those beings. But now, if you're between 20 and 40, or if you're a millennial, my mission is to empower you to not pass on that generational bondage. And the way that you do that is what you're doing: growing, healing, and being disciplined. So you're going to be wondering, wait, why should I eat veggies? Well, your life depends on it. But next, your kid's life depends on it. Your satisfaction depends on it. How you're going to enjoy your life depends on it. So why should I eat veggies? Well, because it will transform your life as a keystone habit. That's why. So adopt. And yes, we can't always prevent things from happening. We're humans. But what we can do is we can be conscious. That's what self-discipline is about. Now, I talk about all this, and for me is, if I did to 100% of everything that God blesses me with, I mean, the life I would have would be too blissful to even comprehend. But because we're human, we aren't able to stay in our godly power for as long as we want. But the thing is, we let that idea of being human make us feel in shame, and then we prolong the time that we don't spend in our true power. And what I mean by that is, just because I know that this sounds really great and it's applicable, I know that sometimes I'm going to let myself down. I know. I'm not going to be here trying to make myself feel grandeur in front of you. I know at some point I will let myself down. But what I've learned to do in life is, what's the gap between the time I let myself down and the time that I stand back up? What's the time between the time you let yourself down and the time you stand back up? Is the gap, are you widening the gap? Do you stay in this shameful place until a span of 6 months passed and you never acted upon changing it back? So self-discipline is not about hitting yourself in the head. It's about noticing you're human and being compassionate, so that when you do mess up, you say, you know what? I'm going to follow this best way of living again. And how does it start? It starts with a decision. Incision. Cut off from what you're currently doing and say, you know what? Tomorrow, I'm going to try what Ed suggested. Just a morning routine. I'm going to wake up an hour earlier and I'm going to do the 10-10-10-20. Check out the last video I posted about that. And you know what? I'm going to have a gratitude practice, a journaling practice, a peaceful practice, and a moving one. And then I'm going to plan. That's going to be my morning routine. I'm going to adopt a keystone habit, and I'm going to see how that goes. That's all it takes, an action step. You just find one thing you can do tomorrow that can transform your life. Okay? If this video added some value to you, be sure to text me at 510-9605. I send out daily empowering text messages to the tribe. Tribe is all up in here. Welcome. Welcome, Elizabeth. Thank y'all for being here. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all, everybody, for being part of this growth journey as we grow along side by side. Once again, keep growing, keep living in your power, and keep empowering yourself. And don't let the shame and guilt keep you down. Don't let the shame and guilt keep you down. Courage is the action that switches you from, courage is an action because it's of the heart. Courage it's like, it really takes movement. You get moved. You know how you get moved and you feel like an energy and you move. Courage is physical. So encourage yourself, get moved, get moving, and do something that will change your life. You deserve it. You deserve it. You deserve it. You're not stuck. Listen, the reality that you think is only in your mind. And if you start to cultivate a new mind reality, then you start to see your external reality transform. And sometimes you can be in the same exact space and you found a newfound peace and joy. I've been in the same household before, and one time I was very negative energy, but because I understood and got in touch with the traumas of the people in the household, and I said, oh, this is their personality types. Oh, this is how they were brought up. Oh, they just actually expressed themselves this way. Oh, I'm acting off childhood triggers. As soon as you become conscious of this, the same environment that used to be treacherous can now become a loving environment. You see what I'm saying? All you got to do is, you have to have a new perception and a new level of growth. Your life experience is in direct proportion to your growth experience. As you experience more growth, you're going to experience more life. So your life experience is in direct proportion to your experience of growth. So as you grow, I can be in the same room as you and I can be in heaven while you are in demise. Or you can be in heaven and I'm in demise, or I'm in hell because I'm thinking hellish thoughts. I'm thinking fiery thoughts. I'm inflaming my body. Literally inflammation my body with negative thoughts. And these thoughts cause me to eat the same foods that's inflaming me again. So once you change your perception on life, you can evolve your entire life. So you say, hey, plant-based, eat some veggies. I'm not telling you not to go eat whatever you eat. I'm just saying, add some veggies. And then you're like, you know what? I don't like vegetables. Well, if you had a perception change and you tried it for once, you would see the amount of energy you would get and the vitality, and you'd be like, wow, I've really been missing out. Your perception change will change your entire life. Okay? So choose the heaven in your mind. Curate it with peace and faith and prayer and love and compassion and gratitude. All the cliche words you hear are known secrets. The known secrets, in fact, I don't need to tell you anything anymore. They're all out there. You've heard it already. I just put it in a way where I try to pierce it through your soul so you can use it. So hey, use it. That's my message, and I'm sticking to it. It's the Holistic Motivator, and I want to thank you for tuning into this personal growth and motivation session. If this empowered you to change your life, share it. And how do you support? Hey, post this in your stories. Post this in your stories or share a post from my page. That's going to be empowering. Think about it. I wake up every day. I'm like, how can I empower somebody today? You think that it doesn't make me extremely happy when somebody shares my posts? It really does. It's like a gift to me because I'm like, oh, I'm actually helping more people now because more people saw this and they got that value from it. So I found out that I get happy for impacting people's lives. That's like my fuel in life. How can I impact somebody? And I found myself that I get more out of it, and I even into a depression if I don't do this. So I can't help it. So find something that you can't help but do. And then every day you're gonna wake up with excitement. You think I'm gonna go anywhere exciting today? I'm gonna be home all day. But I'm gonna be empowering lives with a phone, a camera, an internet connection, and my phone. I can talk to anyone all around the world. And you can be like, hey, you're in your house, I'm in my house. I think I need to travel to London to be happy, but how can you happy at your house? Well, because I'm traveling to London every day. I'm traveling to London via the net. Okay? That's it. I can keep going, but I won't. 30 minutes is what I've been topping this off at. Thank y'all for being here. Once again, I have an amazing 4 weeks of peace challenge, and I invite you to join it. It's gonna be so awesome. Reason why? Because I'm literally, for the next 4 weeks, I'm putting all the things that changed my life into 30-day challenge. Every day a new challenge. All the things that changed my life, I'm putting them in 30-day challenge. I mean, that's amazing. And then basically, but it works if you work it, which means if you get the challenge, you get the email and you like swipe, archive, you don't do it, then you don't get the effects of it. Yesterday's challenge was setting up a morning routine. Today's challenge is writing a gratitude letter. What's a gratitude letter? What's a gratitude letter? A gratitude letter is when you write down all of the things you're grateful for. Scientifically, they did an experiment with college students, all of which were taking counseling services. They had counseling services at their school. Some of them had a gratitude practice. Some of them did not have a gratitude practice. And the ones who had a gratitude practice with counseling, they tremendously, their mental wellness improved. All they did was write all the things they're grateful for, as in a letter to their friend, and every day they just felt better about their lives. And that impacted their lives in such a way that they became to get better. So out of the 300 students, that experiment proved that gratitude is effective. Gratitude is not something you say, it's something you just are. You walk around in gratitude. You breathe because you're grateful for life, right? And it's a different aura about you. It's a different mentality about you that sort of like creates a wonderful life. So how do you join the 4 weeks of peace? You just go to 4weeksofpeace.com. In fact, if you DM me, I will let you know exactly what it's about. So check that out. It's going to be super useful. I'm putting a lot into it because I really believe that a lot of the things that I have within me can really change a lot of people's lives. So let me leave a message with you. You are so valuable. You are so powerful. But the thing is, sometimes we let external things dictate our internal wisdom and power. Now, let me tell you a story. Mother Teresa died with almost nothing. She won the Nobel Peace Prize. She empowered an entire generations. People listened to Mother Teresa and did things to change the world because of her. But she died with no thing. So you might be like, hey, what can I possibly do? I ain't got no money. No, you got you. You got a spirit. You got a light bulb in you. That's what makes everything possible for you. Your light. So let your light shine. Don't hide it. Don't dim it. If you want to subscribe, go to edtalksdaily.com. This is going to be an audio version where you can listen to it about a few weeks from now. All right? Have a wonderful rest of your day and have a peaceful day, peaceful life. Thank you for watching. 4weeksofpeace.com or tryqigong.com/peace. Natalie, thank you for being here. Any questions, I will be sure to answer. I will save the video and it will be up for 24 hours and then it gets deleted until it goes into the podcast. That's just how I do it. So thank y'all for being here. Any questions, I'll be sure to answer them. If not, stay in your power and be blessed. Peace. Well, this is the peace sign.